The past couple of weeks have brought us roster changes from teams around the world, so let's take a minute to recap some of the more important moves. Starting with the North American scene, Liquid's former IGL and OP Nitro has announced he's stepping down from the starting lineup after 5.5 years on the roster. No reason was initially given, but about a week after, it was announced that he's planning on making a switch to Valorant, and has already been signed by 100 Thieves. Nitro is arguably the most successful CS player to switch to Valorant so far, with accomplishments such as taking home 9 trophies from big events, winning the second Intel Grand Slam, and appearing in the finals of the 2016 Cologne Major. Seeing a player this successful make the switch to Valorant really begs the question of how many other top names we could see leaving the scene. But back to the rest of the roster move, rising talent Grim has been signed to replace Nitro's spot. Grim comes from the ex-MDL team Triumph, which recently qualified for Pro League about a week ago. During his time there, he proved on multiple occasions that he was ready for the next level of competition, averaging an impressive 1.26 rating. Grim and Liquid have already played a few games together, and so far he's looking like a good fit for the team, picking up wins over teams like Chaos and Team 1. Now, going back to Grim's previous team Triumph, not only did they lose Grim, but also the young talent Curry, who's taking a break from CS to focus on school. So having qualified for Pro League, they need to fill in the 2 empty slots in the roster. The first player to join is a 17-year-old Canadian known as Penny, who previously competed with MDL teams such as Oceanus and Rugrats. The other player is another Canadian named Moose, who's been a pretty well-known name in the Tier 2 NA scene for a while now, first rising to prominence with teams such as Rise Nation and E United before being signed by Envy. So this is what Triumph's roster looks like now. The next North American roster change comes from ZPG, an orgless team primarily made up of players who previously played under the Swole Patrol title. One of the members, Android, announced on the 8th that, like many others, he too would be transitioning to Valorant. In the same announcement, he also stated he would be replaced by former Bad News Bears and Singularity player, Dazzle, who, like Moose, has been at the top of the Tier 2 NA scene for a while now. So far, ZPG has had decent results with this change, putting up wins against Yeah, Team 1, and Triumph, while falling to the likes of Liquid and Chaos. Now moving on to the European side of the world, we'll start with Virtus Pro, who's been struggling ever since they switched from the Avantgarde organization. On the 4th, it was announced that CIS veteran Adren would be parting ways with the team, and 4 days later, it was revealed that Buster would be returning to the active duty roster after taking a break since late May, nearly 3 months of inactivity. During Adren's time with the team, he led them to a 2nd place finish in the Berlin Major, as well as a 1st place finish in Blast Pro Series Moscow. Though no word has been given about Adren's future, he's recently teamed up with other CIS legends such as Guardian and Doja to compete in the ESL New York qualifier, though it appears this is a one-time lineup only. On to the next roster move in the EU region is the addition of Innocent to Mad Lions, who have been enjoying a lot of success since the online era began earlier this year, peaking at the number 11 spot in the world rankings back in April. This change is a result of Bubsky leaving the team to play for Astralis as a replacement for Jugi. Innocent comes from the team Illuminar, where he's averaged a 1.09 rating since he initially joined the team back in July of last year. The addition of a non-Danish player to the team means communications in-game have been switched to English, so it'll be interesting to see if Mad Lions will adapt to this change and if their performance will be impacted by it. The next roster change has to do with the Finnish player X7, who is part of the INTS roster which initially put Finnish CS on the map. X7 has been the 6th man for INTS for the past few months, acting as a replacement for backband Yampy during Valve-sanctioned events. Now, X7 has reached a deal with Finnish organization Havu, where he'll be on their starting roster while still finishing out this major cycle with INTS, since Yampy can't play. Once this major cycle is over though, INTS is going to be faced with the decision to either sign another 6-man or play with their coach during major runs, since Yampy won't be able to help them out. And now finally, probably the most important European transfer to mention so far, FaZe has decided to sign former North player Kierby to replace young talent Bemis, who's been standing in for FaZe ever since Olaf's departure back in late May. Shortly after being released, it was revealed that Bemis had been signed by another European mixed team, Mouse Sports, as a 6th man. This continues Mouse's trend of signing young players with the hopes of developing and unlocking their potential, with past examples including Rops and Frozen. Currently, Bemis is listed as both a 6-man and a developmental player, which hints that he could potentially find a way onto the starting roster somewhere down the road. But until then, he'll remain as a backup player just in case one of Mouse's starters can't play a match. Anyway, back to the FaZe signing, Kierby joins the team after 2 years with North, where he averaged a 1.09 rating and brought home 3 trophies with the rest of the Danish lineup. Even though Kierby and North have been struggling for the past year, it'll be interesting to see if this change in scenery will allow him to reach the level he was at during his time with Astralis. And that just about covers most of the roster moves that have taken place in the past couple of weeks. It seems like most of these changes are for the best, and hopefully we can see these teams rise to great heights with their new rosters. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and never miss a video.